From inside Highmark Stadium, I am Matt Parrino, joined as always by Ryan Talbot on this special Thursday night edition of Shout, a Buffalo Bills football podcast. And apologies for the delay. I know that when we first put this up, I think we had like a 9 o'clock start time or maybe even like an 8 o'clock hour. But a lot has happened in the last 60 minutes. I was trying to come under the gun and finish the feature story off of Sean McDermott's press conference, Josh Allen today. But obviously the NFL dropped the bomb about the playoffs, and that kind of diverted attention for a while. I was on the phone with my editor trying to work out all the different possibilities. I think, Ryan, you talked to him too about all the different possibilities. So we're going to get into that, but we're going to start where we need to start. And that's with Damar Hamlin, Ryan Talbot. Huge news today.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable news. I think they use the term remarkable progress. Just I think what every Bills fan was hoping to hear in terms of continuing to trend in the right light. Obviously, Matt, you had a great story up on the site today about Hamlin waking up, about the first question that he asked, which I'll let you get into here. The fact that he's squeezing hands. I mean, prayers answered. God is good. Everything that Bills players, I think, needed to see and hear. I think it was something that even Bengals players, personnel, and maybe even people around the league, around the world needed to hear today.
T. Higgins had a response to it. And I think, for a guy that has taken some heat on social media, which is, to Josh Allen's point a little while ago, like completely ridiculous. It was a football play. He wasn't even the one that like laid the hit. Like he got hit. So I don't understand like the thought process there. I think Bart Scott was involved in one of the things, or that maybe he should be targeted or something like that. I thought I read. Is that true?
He said, I can't remember if that were his exact words, but he said something very foolish on the morning sport show.
That's just it. Just foolish stuff. Like when something like this happens, like first of all, like we shouldn't be on the attack. We should be on the, providing support. And I get it. Like talk shows have to be like that. But man, we've just seen too much of it, especially in a time like this. But let's stick on the positive. I'm super tired. I got home at like 2 a.m. last night, went to bed at maybe like 3:15, woke up very early today, and it's been down here ever since, which is it's for great things. I mean, the Damar Hamlin story from Monday night when his heart stopped in the middle of the field at Paycor Stadium to where things have progressed today is just unbelievable. The details that have now come out about all of the people that had some type of role in this unbelievable turnaround. And it's one of the things that, Ryan, like you go back to the day and everything that's happening, and it happened so fast, and like people had to react in this unbelievably quick way, even like trained professionals. And listen, everybody that was on the field there were University of Cincinnati Medical Center personnel, trauma physicians on site working that game. So that was part of the team. But then you talk about the Bills contingent, Nate Bresky, the head trainer, the assistant trainer, athletic trainer, Denny Kellington, who has become somewhat of a folk hero today. He was at Syracuse before he came to the Bills, and he was the one that performed CPR on Damar Hamlin. And we spoke to the doctors today on a conference call that have been overseeing the treatment for Damar Hamlin all week. And they said point blank, had that not been the case and Damar Hamlin not received the treatment that he had on site, we might have a different outcome today. Because what happened was when that happens, you go into cardiac arrest, you lose your pulse at one point, have to get the circulation back going as quickly as possible. And so the doctors were talking about, applying bystander CPR immediately, getting the pulse back, which was so important, and then using the defibrillator to, get that heart pumping again. And that's what they did. They did everything by the book, got him in the ambulance, got him over to the treatment center. And it's one of the best in the country. And they have made this unbelievable progress throughout the week.
Yeah. And, first and foremost, well-deserved shout out to Denny Kellington. After the news kind of broke, after his name came up in social media, you saw obviously current Bills players giving him a lot of credit, a lot of praise, talking about how much they loved him. And you saw former Bills players, Darrell Williams, I think, retweeted something you put out, Matt, a former offensive lineman for the Bills, about how much he loved Denny, and Zach Moss had something on Instagram. So this is a trainer that knows his stuff, and in the heat of the moment, he rose to the occasion. He did exactly what needed to be done on the field. And again, the fact that the medical doctors that you see decided to specifically shout him out, it was very well deserved.
What's been well deserved this week is just the celebration of the job that Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor did on the night. We've learned so much more in the past 24 hours about what went into that dynamic on the field. Zach Taylor came out yesterday and in a press conference and basically explained that when he walked across the field, the first thing that Sean McDermott told him was, I need to get to the hospital. I cannot coach in this game. I got to be with my guy, Damar Hamlin. And then, Sean McDermott tonight in this press conference, which we're going to get into, some of the emotional parts of this thing. And, I want to share some things that I've received from different folks. When he's dealing with all of that in the moment, Sean McDermott, I mean, I don't think we even at the time really compartmentalized and understood how much that must have been weighing on him, trying to make all these decisions while knowing that one of your players is going through what he was going through. And then, oh, by the way, managing 60 some odd players that are just beside themselves in sadness and pain after what they just watched. So Zach Taylor came across and they just had a conversation. And, one of the things that came, I believe it was from the official from the league, said, listen, we don't have to decide anything right now. Let's go back to the locker rooms. Let's settle down. And that's exactly what Sean McDermott said. He caught up with Leslie Frazier for a few minutes. That kind of helped settle him down a little bit, composure in the moment, which is so interesting. Like a side note of all of that, what a luxury it's been for Sean, who's been the epitome of a great leader over the course of his Bills career, but having that extra piece of support, 63-year-old Leslie Frazier, who's seen so much in this league, was so helpful.
Yeah, first and foremost, Sean McDermott, you got to see him get a little bit emotional today, and that kind of hits home, I think, for a lot of fans when they saw that moment happen, just how important Damar Hamlin and all these players are to him. We talked about that yesterday, where he talks about how he considers them part of his family, and it's not just lip service. It's 100% the real deal. And before the show, we were talking, and I said the one thing I really loved wasn't even when McDermott was talking with the media today. It's when you had Mitch Morse, Dane Jackson up there at the podium. Who's off to the side? It's Sean McDermott. He's still there for his guys, even in the moment at these press conferences. Brandon Beans, at the hospital with Damar Hamlin and Hamlin's family throughout this entire time period. So it's the coaching staff, Leslie Frazier, like you mentioned. It's as well, it's the front office. It's just everyone from top to bottom. We talked yesterday about how the right people are here in Buffalo for this job, and I couldn't feel any different 24 hours later based on all these new details that keep emerging based on how they have handled the situation. I see in the comments here, Sean McDermott deserves Coach of the Year. After everything that happened here, there's more than just on the field coaching, and I wouldn't be opposed if that were the case.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this whole situation is going to really characterize this entire 2022 season, NFL season. I mean, it's going to be one of the things that, if not the thing, that when you think back, I mean, I think people are going to remember this week more than Super Bowl week when we get to, next season. And maybe they do something where it's joint Coach of the Year with Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott for how both of them handled this. Because, one of the things that Sean McDermott, did say in the end was just how unbelievable it was to, in that moment with everything going on the way that it was, to have the experience with Zach Taylor was something that stuck with him. And he said it was amazing how compassionate he was. and just the compassion, the empathy, and love from not only Zach Taylor but the entire Bengals organization. So, yeah, coach of the year, maybe that could be in play here. All right, let's get into some of our takeaways from what we heard from the press conferences today, and starting off the most emotional part in either of them. So first we heard from Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. Then we heard from Mitch Morse and Dane Jackson. And man, it was good to see Dane Jackson smiling today, man. Like I can't imagine what that's been like for him. A guy that in Damar Hamlin that he's known since he was a young man. They went to Pitt together. Been playing together on the Bills for the last 2 seasons. Obviously very, very close. I mean, Damar was just talking about a story about them holding hands on the practice field recently, just to take in the moment and just celebrate where they were at. I mean, 2 kids that grew up together ending up here. So we heard from him. We heard from Mitch Morse. One of my big takeaways was, I thought about this when I was talking to Dorian Glenn on Tuesday night, Damar Hamlin's uncle, when he said that some people, most people, or a lot of people, he said, don't know how much they're loved while they're alive, right? Like, and I guess that's the concept that, getting your flowers too late, right? Like try to give people their flowers while they're alive, right? And he said, and when he woke up eventually, he was going to just be so taken aback by how much the world showed up to support him and to come out and donate and show their love and support. And Josh Allen actually revealed in a conversation with Mario Hamlin, Damar's dad, that he told him, my son's going to be all right. And he also told him when he wakes up, the first thing he's going to ask is, did the Bills win the game? And lo and behold, Ryan Talbot, we heard from the doctors today, sitting at Damar's bedside, the nurse on call when Damar woke up and got to a place where he can kind of communicate non-verbally by writing notes. He asked, did the Bills win? And the doctor came back and said, yeah, you won, Damar. You won the game of life because you're alive and you're awake, and it's unbelievably miraculous news.
Yeah, almost like something out of a movie, like literally a line that would be in a movie. And you mentioned in your article, football guy, that the football guy line. You wake up and he didn't realize he had been unconscious, obviously, since Monday night. But the first thing on his mind was who won the game. And we talked about him being a team first guy yesterday, and his love for this team. So it was just fitting. And then with the press conferences, you mentioned it was good to see Dane Jackson smiling. Dane talked about his own injury from earlier in the season and how, despite all the players, sending him those well wishes, the one voice that he kept remembering, or that he could hear over the rest of them, was Damar Hamlin saying, "I love you, D-Jack." And it just kind of speaks to the bond they have, the friendship that they have. So I can only imagine the peace of mind that this news today gave Dane Jackson, knowing that his friend was there for him when he suffered the serious injury. He's there for him now. And obviously it's still a long road ahead, but nothing but positive signs right now. It just has to be a major weight off of his shoulders, being such a close friend, and obviously all the players' shoulders.
We have a really cool announcement here. Another trial over on YouTube. That's his handle. Appreciative of the live stream tonight, giving me something to do while my wife is in labor. And of course, my wife is watching the show right now and said, "What? You're watching the show while your wife is in labor? What?" She's in pain, dude. That's what she said.
Listen, labor's a long process. I remember with our first child, with Ellie, it was many hours. You had to get out the medicine ball and rock around on that. He's got time, Caitlin. He's got time right now, and he's using it wisely, watching Shout.
Yeah, maybe she's walking up and down the hallway.
Yeah.
You got to do some walking. If it's a long labor, both me and you, we're veterans, man. We've been there. We've been in that room.
He might be walking to get the ice chips, come back and forth, and
there you go.
Watching the show.
There you go. Congratulations. We wish you and your family All the best, safe delivery, and welcome to the world, little one. All right. Before we continue, shout out to Tops Friendly Markets, your neighborhood store with more. Right now, you can enter for a chance to win $1 million. Each week, Kings Hawaiian is pitting two city sliders against each other in the ultimate showdown, and you get to help decide the winner. Vote weekly for your favorite regional slider for a chance to win all season long and earn entries toward the $1 million prize. Explore the interactive stadium to play games, get recipes, share photos, and more. Visit topsmarkets.com/redzone to enter. All right, Ryan, where do you want to go next?
Well, you said you had some stuff. So have you revealed the stuff yet? Or is there something you wanted to go with?
Yeah, and I hope she doesn't get upset that I'm not going to say her name, but I am going to read this because I think that this is really important. And family friend of ours sent this message to me, and funny enough, I haven't even responded to her. I've just been so busy tonight, but I did read it quickly, and I thought it was something that we could talk about because in pro sports, there's this, this. And Sean McDermott talked a little bit about it today, and I want to combine it with that, just like mental tough and how like there's so much macho in sports. And I think it was Mitch Morse that said like by the time they got to a certain point in this, there wasn't a lot of macho left, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just about being with everybody, being vulnerable. Mitch Morse said, and then Josh Allen said like just leaning in, and he said maybe it might be a little weird. And I think that like the fact that he's saying that is because there's these like constructs of how football players are supposed to be, right? But like sometimes you do just need to hug somebody, right? So anyway, let me read this out because this was a note that I got from a family friend today. This is the most remarkable thing I have ever seen in decades, and I mean that sincerely. As an avid football fan from an early age, both at the college, Princeton, and professional level, and as a 50-year-old woman who has lived in bro culture from puberty to now, I can hardly express how remarkable this is to see Josh Allen, an icon of contemporary football and manhood, talk about brotherhood in a new way, the permission to be vulnerable, to be emotional, to need to be loved upon, to express that everyone will react differently and needs permission to do so and to seek what they need. And then to hear a coach, an older man closer to my age, talking about how self-awareness and emotion are a strength, not a weakness. Openly crying on national TV, and then without being dismissive of his own emotions, with no embarrassment, continues to talk about how he is overcome with emotion like he just was at different times. And then proceeding again to give each man the cover and the encouragement to seek help, to share their emotions, to be aware of their needs, and that every man on the team must understand that each of them will react differently, and to respect that in themselves and others is tremendously remarkable. I promise you that could never have happened in times past. An older man and a younger man seamlessly trading back and forth in a public press conference, secure in themselves, emotionally mature, wise in the language of a healthy mind, and good mental health, with one message full of love and self-awareness and respect for human emotion. In a public press conference of one of the most violent masculine sports, that is the most refreshing and beautiful thing I think I've seen in decades. And I'm full of hope. Yeah. I read that and I thought, wow, I mean, that's so powerful. Like, a few weeks ago, we talked about the Jerry Sullivan situation, right? And what it must have felt like to be a woman who heard the comments that he made. And like, it's, you think about different people's perspectives and like what it must be to be a part of a community, right? The football sports community, when you want to feel that inclusion, and there's always that piece of it that keeps you from feeling fully embraced, right? And how special it could be. And I tweeted, and how I'm going to bring this kind of full circle too is like I tweeted like Buffalo's been waiting for Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and Josh Allen from a football perspective for decades.
Right.
And what they've got now is the perfect trio of football player, football coach, and football general manager. But they also have three great men, three great human beings that just care so much about the people around them, the community, the way that Sean McDermott talks about Western New York. And to see somebody have that kind of emotional reaction to something like that, it just was super special, and I want to share it.
Yeah, and McDermott, first and foremost, I loved what he said today about talking with the counselors, not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Everything that Josh Allen said, and going back to Mitch Morse's original comments about how football, it's a macho sport and there wasn't much macho left. That's okay. As awful as everything was on Monday night, when you go back and you see Mitch Morse hugging Tre'Davious White, and we talked about, I think, with Naheem Hines being there for Saran Neal, in the moment, there was something awful going on in the field, but that showed us this brotherhood, this family mentality that these players have from one another, that it's okay to be emotionally visibly upset in such a time, and after the fact as well, obviously in the locker room where you had Bengals players coming in and you're interacting with them, and days after the fact, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I know sports and just men in general, there's that macho mentality, but there's nothing wrong with seeking out help when you need it. There's nothing wrong with being there for someone else. So I think that those are some of the things that we're going to look back on and see, this truly is a team that is there for each other on and off the field.
So I want to get to the next. We'll finish the show with a brief overview of the playoff situation now. I always tell my wife, you can't text me while the show is going on. She sends me if you have one-off texts you want to get involved, that's one thing, but don't send me too many texts because then I get sidetracked. So I want to flip it, and I want to talk about how they're going to play the game on Sunday now, right? So we heard one of the biggest things that we were waiting to talk to the players about was like, all right, how are you approaching this game? And Sean McDermott and Josh Allen took us inside the Bills team meeting room today and shared details of the call that they had with Mario Hamlin, Damar's father. And he said, what Damar is going to want more than anything is for this team as a whole that has worked so much to get to this stage. They've set out goals for themselves before the season. It would mean so much for him, for them to get back to that pursuit and to go and try to play this Sunday, play for him, play to accomplish the goals that they set out. And he was really passionate about it. And in a lot of ways, knowing who Damar Hamlin was, you get the sense from Josh and from Sean McDermott that, they want to honor that in him. And listen, there's going to be some people that are going to feel a certain type of way about Sunday, right? Like, I'm sure the players are when they step out on the field. The last time they were on a football field, we know what happened. They might feel a certain way. Josh Allen said there's going to be some people in that locker room that are going to be changed forever in terms of how they feel about the game and, just the emotional aftermath of that moment. And there's going to be people watching at home that just like, do I want to continue to watch a game that is so full of violence? I mean, I got some messages in my DMs this week about like, I don't care if they even play another game. I don't care if the Bills were just to say that we're not going to play any more games this season. I'm just, those people are just hurting and like, having reactions to that. And that's okay. Every reaction that you have to this is okay. And I think that understanding is the most important part. And I want to try to be understanding of Josh Allen, the Bills, and Sean McDermott's decisions to go and play for Damar Hamlin on Sunday and moving forward the rest of the way. And it's why I didn't write a column that I originally was talking about writing, because in the end, it shouldn't be about my decision. It should be about what the Bills want to do as they're going to make this kind of collective decision together.
Yeah, and I think the big piece to that was the fact that Damar Hamlin's father spoke to the team and sent them that message and sent them that encouraging news. If we were sitting here Friday, Saturday, and no news really about Damar, if there weren't these encouraging signs, I wouldn't have blamed the Bills for 1 second if they're like, we can't play on Sunday. We just can't. We're not there. But when you see this positive news, this news that's trending, and you get Damar Hamlin's dad talking to you saying, this is what my son would want. You guys have to finish the job in the regular season. You have to go into the playoffs. You've worked so hard for this. you want to honor that. You want to honor, your teammate. You want to play for your teammate. And listen, the stadium on Sunday, it's going to be an emotional place. And yes, it'll be rocking like it always is. But it's going to be really interesting to see that wave of emotion from the coaching staff to the players, to the fans and the crowd and everyone else in between. It's going to be something we haven't seen before. And if the Bills, come out and they start out a little bit slow, I wouldn't be shocked by that because of the fact of what's happened and the fact that things haven't been normal the last few days. But now they have a goal in mind. They're playing for Damar. They want to honor what his father said today. And, you hope that, again, it's almost like a thing out of a movie. You hope that they come through and they play a complete game on Sunday and enter the playoffs on a high note.
We'll get to Troy in a second, but quickly, just because this is my show and I'm usually very nice, I'm in a kind of a mood right now. So, Chad, you just picked the wrong day, the wrong time. No, not one person is sitting at home thinking, do I still want to watch this violent sport? Actually, Chad, they are. Because guess what? They DM'd me and told me that. So when I said that somebody texted me and said something, that means that they actually did text me and tell me something. Moving on. Next for Troy. Do you guys think it's possible that they do introduce the trainers and medical staff of the team at the game on Sunday? I sure hope so, Ryan Talbot.
Yeah, I hope so too. And, I think they deserve that recognition. They might not want that recognition. They might just say, oh, we did our job, but they deserve that recognition. They went above and beyond in that moment. It's one thing to say you're prepared to do something. It's another thing to go out and actually do what these trainers did. And as the doctor said today, how important it was that they responded so quickly, that they did everything that they did. So yes, I would hope that they get recognized in some way, shape, or form, that they get honored pre-game, in-game, whatever the case may be, because they deserve it 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine there's not something special done. I wouldn't be surprised if they put together a video package to commemorate it and celebrate it. What they did, man, it's just like you just saw the emotion in Josh's face, the outpouring from current Bills players, former Bills players that have had unceremonious exits. I mean, we all saw what happened with John Feliciano over the offseason, and he was clipped to come out and obviously show love for Buffalo and the training staff. And sometimes when you listen to these press conferences and Sean McDermott is so quick to talk about the impact on a day-to-day base level, like the micro level, not even the macro, like having these great people in place, but I'm talking about the everyday effects of this, like, managing injuries, managing rehabs, managing all that stuff. I mean, these guys are so entrenched in what this team does, and to have that kind of belief and faith in them, and then the way that they marched into action without even a second thought was super special. All right, before we get on, I want to see. I thought I saw one question. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. Got a little heated. You know what? We're at the end of a 4 or 5 to 8 period here, where it's just been it's been a lot, man. It's been a lot, and I'm operating on very little sleep. So don't come with the king. Best not miss. No, that's in honor of Ariel Helwani. Did you know he always says that on his show?
Oh yeah.
Ariel, so I've watched him for years. Huge Buffalo Bills fan, friend of the show, been on the show. I actually was just texting him yesterday about just the coverage and what this week has been like. And he does this segment where fans call in, and he always is going back and forth with Dana White, and he's got all these little people that he has, fighters that he has issues with, and he always does that where he's like, you come at the king, you best not miss. He's got a big shtick for it. I love it. So
I think Patty might be the most.
Oh, Patty Pimblett. Yes,
yeah,
Patty Pimblett. I want to see Damar come out of the tunnel on 2/12. Man, wouldn't that be something? Josh Allen also spoke about after this game, whether it be next week or the week after, depending on what's going on with the playoffs, the Bills are going to try to put something together where they can go visit him, or who knows, maybe things improve so much that he can maybe be relocated and get back to Buffalo, and we'll see how that ends up looking up. Scott Moranto says a video of Damar giving a thumbs up from the ICU bed would be awesome. on Sunday. That is definitely awesome. And yeah, Scott, he probably did steal that quote from Conor McGregor, but Arrow's my guy, so I'll give him the credit. All right. Oh, Elena Getzenberg, Parrino, you're the best. You've been working so hard. Do you want to take the pizza and chicken home in the boxes, or should we take them? I wonder if she knew that we were going to put this on the middle of our show.
That's right. We're talking about it now, Elena.
What do you think?
No, I think you need to take the pizza at least.
I'm not going to take it home. So if you guys want to divvy it up and take it home, I think that you should do that. That would be wonderful. Thank you. So we got to get to this playoffs scenario because that was what was really the holdup to what took this show so long to go off, is that I had to kind of wrap my head around this very, very confusing setup. And I think we're finally to the place where I kind of understand it a bit. So let's first talk about the fact that the Bills versus the Bengals is canceled. It's off the schedule.
Yep.
Okay. So the NFL has decided that they've come up with a proposal. The competition committee agreed upon it. And basically what it states is that the first part of it is there's going to be 3 different scenarios. The AFC Championship game will be played at a neutral site if the participating teams played an unequal number of games and both could have been the number 1 seed and hosted the game had all AFC clubs played a full 17-game regular season. So we're talking about the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. Okay. So if the Chiefs win on Sunday, that eliminates automatically the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Right.
Because they couldn't, even if they would have beat the Bills, they wouldn't have been able to catch the Chiefs. Correct. So the Chiefs would have to lose and the Bengals would have to win, and that would enter the mix for that. But now the Bills, even if they win, if the Chiefs win, there's no way to attain the number 1 seed. And had they played the Cincinnati Bengals game and won that game, although they were losing 7-3 when the game was canceled, they would have been the number 1 seed. So there was no real perfect way to do this. But what's interesting about the scenario is that in the AFC title game, Ryan, that's when things get very interesting. Why don't you explain that?
Yeah. So I'm going to go with what Field Yates tweeted out. He kind of did a simplified version of it. So he said, if the Chiefs and the Bills meet in the AFC Championship, they would be, if they both win this week, it would be 14-3 Chiefs, 13-3 Bills. That game would get played at a neutral site. It would not be played at Arrowhead. It would not be played at Highmark. So that would be one of the most interesting AFC Championship scenarios that I can ultimately remember. Same thing if both teams somehow lose this week. If the Chiefs lose, the Bills lose, alternate or neutral site. 13-4 Bills, 12-4 Bengals, neutral site. So they have something they're going to vote on tomorrow and try to get this into place where if this were to occur, you would be playing a potential AFC Championship, both teams on the road at a neutral site, which again, this would be something that has not happened in my lifetime that I can think of, something very different. And in terms of, I see Steve here who says who gets the week off. It would be the Chiefs if they win this weekend, because they would ultimately be the 1 seed in this scenario because they played the 1 extra game. They're bringing this into effect for just the championship game. At the end of the day, there was no perfect scenario that could be worked out here. So this is just for the championship if the Bills or the Bengals or the Chiefs can get there. Now, obviously, on Saturday and Sunday, maybe the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals, the outcome of their games gets rid of this scenario altogether. Jarrett Stidham put up 34 points against the 49ers last week. Maybe there's some Stidham magic in that arm on Saturday and they win that game. I don't know. And then if the Bills win, they're just the 1 seed. So this is not something that is set in stone in terms of it's going to 100% happen, because we need to see how the outcome of these games transpire on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so basically the only path to the 1 seed at this point for the Bills is a Kansas City loss and a Bills win. And so projecting into the playoffs as the number 2 seed, winning on Sunday is really important still.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to host as many playoff games as you can, and you got to remember, if you end up as the 2 seed and Kansas City's the 1 seed, both teams are going to have to win or the Bills are going to have to win 2 games. Kansas City's going to have to win 1 game to get to a matchup against each other. And I think it would be in a lot of ways fitting to have to go. Well, you won't be going back to Kansas City now. That's kind of out the door. But playing Kansas City on a neutral site, I feel like it's almost kind of fitting after the Bills beat them in Kansas City earlier this season. I almost feel like that should have some weight in this decision. And maybe that was part of the conversation in that Kansas City has lost to the Chiefs or to the Bills and the Bengals this season. So maybe that entered the conversation when sure it kind of isn't fair to the Chiefs, right? Especially if you consider the way that game was going for the Bengals. But I don't think this was necessarily at the end of the day about finding the most fair outcome. I think it was about trying to find a workaround in a really, really bad situation where 2 teams' entire organizations were really affected.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. And, I don't think that Chiefs fans should be complaining if they are. I'm not saying they are. I haven't checked social media in the event of a neutral site championship game, but you said it. They've lost to the Bills. They've lost to the Bengals. Their record is their record, but they've had a pretty soft schedule this year. They've been pushed to the limit, though, against the Houston Texans. They lost to the Colts. They went to overtime with a Titans team that was led by Malik Willis. 2 tough games against Denver that they realistically could have lost. If they end up winning the 1 seed, it almost feels like last year where there's a weak number 1 seed in the AFC. I'll kind of put myself out here to maybe be on old takes exposed. I kind of like the Titans last year where I didn't think they were a world beater as the number 1 seed. I think the Chiefs are pretty vulnerable, and I get it. Their record is the same as Buffalo's or was going into last week, and right now they currently have 1 more win.
A ton of people watching on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. On a Thursday night, we're just cranking here. We have 465 watching live on YouTube and over 100 on the other 2 platforms. So smash that like button. Subscribe to the show as well. We're going to be going here for a few more minutes. AJ, you want to bring up the question? Do we answer Troy's question? I'm going to bring it up here in the on the screen, and we can. What happens if the Chiefs lose and the Bengals lose? If the Chiefs lose and the Bengals lose and the Bills win, they're the 1 seed. The only path to the 1 seed for the Bills at this point is a win and a Kansas City loss. I don't think there is a path to the 1 seed at this point for the Bengals, because even if they win, they would need the Bills to lose. I don't think that there's a path to the 1 seed for the Bengals, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of numbers here, Ryan.
Yeah, the Bengals. Well, let's see. The Bengals would be if they win, they would be
I'm looking right
12
now.
and 4.
12 and 4.
If the
and
Chiefs
then the Chiefs
lose,
would be, if the Chiefs lose, they would be 13 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I think their win percentage would get them the nod over them.
Right.
And if the Bills lose, they would be 12 and 4. And I think that they have the tiebreaker over the Cincinnati still anyway. So I just don't think there's a path to the 1 seed for the Bengals. Yeah. What do you make? I guess big picture now, like looking ahead, projecting into the playoffs. The Bills made a roster move this week. They brought in a safety, and I think it's safe to talk a little bit of football here, just because the Bills are moving in that direction, and we're going to have to start thinking about previewing this game on Saturday at a very special celebratory event at Wingnuts North Buffalo inside the beautifully aesthetic Froth Brewing Company, which has all the best beers on tap. I can't wait to try them all out. I want to get you a nice flight, Ryan Talbot, before the show. Get you real loose, get you really gassed up. Yeah. And we're going to have a good time. It's basically a meet and greet. Okay. You come out, we're going to get there at 6, probably a little bit before that, set up. At 7 p.m. we're going to start a podcast. It's not going to be live. We're going to tape it. Right. So it's going to be real loose. We're going to involve fans that want to be involved. You're watching. If you're standing around, you want to come in for a segment, you want to talk, you have a question, you have a comment. And then after the show is done, we're going to hang out. We're going to drink some beers. We're going to eat some crispy Wing Nuts wings, some of the best in Buffalo. They're in the running at this point. I got to have them a little bit more, and we're just having a good time. We're going to celebrate each other in a week where I think Bills Mafia has really come together, and it's going to be a fun time. I'm really looking forward to it. We were thinking about maybe postponing it, but I think it's really good to get together, Ryan, and just kind of do what the Bills are doing, just be around each other and kind of enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Really looking forward to Wingnuts on Saturday. The event, we hope to see a lot of the Bills Mafia there. We're excited to tape the pod. It's going to be good to get together in light of everything that's happened, in light of the good news from today, and hopefully even better news tomorrow. So looking forward to this event quite a bit.
All right. I'm looking forward to hearing all about your favorite trips into the Carryout Cafe when we all meet up on Saturday. I want to hear what your favorite order to go is. I know it's probably the Top's Legendary Breakfast Pizza. You can get a large for $20. So leave that out of the conversation because we just know. If you know, right? Hot to go fresh large cheese and pepperoni pizza is $14. Jumbo chicken wings, 10 count, $14. Pizza or taco log, 6 count, $7.69. Baby back rib sections, $5.99 a pound, plus sub sandwiches, wraps, app sides, and so much more. Visit topsmarkets.com/redzone for the complete menu of ready to enjoy fan favorites. Final thought, Ryan Talbot.
Yeah, well, final thought, continue praying for Damar, continue hoping for good news. Outstanding things today, though, in terms of what we've learned. Let's just hope that he keeps trending here in the right direction. We get more and more good news with each passing day because, yes, there's a football game on Sunday, but as they've been saying, this is bigger than football. So continued prayers to Damar Hamlin and family.
All right. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Enjoy the rest of your week. We got the weekend on tap. And then it's going to be a big party back in here on Sunday at 1:00. Bit of a celebration. Great news on Damar Hamlin. Over the moon. I had a big goofy grin on my face all day today after a couple hard days of it all. So for Ryan Talbot, I'm Matt Parrino. We'll see you guys hopefully on Saturday in person. Come on out. For more details, check my Instagram story. I'm gonna put out a tweet tomorrow. I'll pin it to the top of my profile, and then we'll share it on all the platforms. The event is created over on our Facebook page, Buffalo Bills on NY Up. Get yourself all the details, and we're looking forward to it. Take care, everybody.